let's recap all the new information in the Dune Awakening combat livestream right now. I did not think about the repercussions of my actions. Timestamps down below. Abilities. I want to go through this first as I feel like this is the most important thing we learned, and that is you cannot learn all skills anymore. This was previously mentioned that you could, but they have since gone back on this to make the game a bit more interesting. They said you can go pretty far down in several of them and go to the end in a few of them, but you can't do all of them anymore. Now, going through everything else we learned, you can swap skills mid-combat, but not when the cooldown for that ability is still ticking down. There is a green effect, which is a passive for the Swords Master, which is if you kill someone, you'll get a buff of 15% more damage for the next attack. This will be an ability you have to unlock. You can also see roughly what abilities friends and enemies are using, as they normally give off a colour, like green for Swordsmaster abilities and black for the Bene Gesserit ability. There's an ability called Deflection, where you can run towards an enemy that is firing darts and deflect them and not take any damage. Another one is Eye of the Storm, which is a whirlwind attack that will damage everything around you. Bene Gesserit Bendy Sprint, where you can run at incredible speeds. Wading Step, where you can move superhumanly fast behind someone and attack them from the back, which is also a Bene Gesserit ability as well. I am going to list a load of other abilities. Some of these were shown in the stream and some were accidentally shown for a split second when moving the mouse around. These are as follows, so there may be some information that is missing. Trooper ability. Reflective Reload. As you can see, this is a passive ability. This means you need to have a Spice Precinct. To get into the Spice Precinct mode, you'll need to consume spice food or drink, or not wear protective gear when on a spice field. I will go over this in more detail in the section after this. For the Reflective Reload, it says when your blood is saturated with the melang, the actions that you have performed 1,000 times become effortless. Whenever you throw a grenade or drop a mine, you instantly reload your current weapon, your hands moving before your mind can even think. Trooper ability, Heavy Weapon Damage. It's a passive ability. It says the bigger the gun, the bigger the mess. Your skill with heavy weapons such as Flamethrower, Lasgun, Vulcan something 92 leads to more damage when you use them. Heavy weapon damage 15%. Troop ability, Scattergun damage, passive ability. It says you have mastered the something patterns of the pellet firing something and drill shot something, scatterguns something, improving your damage with these weapons. Scattergun damage 15%. You get the kind of idea. Trooper ability, Disruptor damage, passive ability. It says using steady hands, you are able to guide the disruptor's rapid fire darts more effectively to their target, thus increasing your damage. Disruptor damage 15%. Trooper ability, range damage. Again, passive ability. It says your time spent practicing your aim leads to bonus damage using all range weapons. Range damage 10%. Trooper ability, Assault Seeker. It's an ability this time. It says a modified Hunter Seeker that will fly in a direct line and explode upon contact with anything. Can be triggered to explode with a second activation as well. Useful for situations where a thrown grenade is not precise enough. You can see the cooldown of 22 seconds, stamina cost 30, damage 80, and range of 2000. Troop ability, Center of Mass. Technique. It says you've been taught to shoot where you're most likely to hit, and you do it by instinct, increasing damage that hits the body, but reducing your damage via headshots. Technique only take effect when equipped. Body damage 30%, headshot damage minus 15%. Unknown ability, so not sure where it's coming from, but Conservation of Energy it's called. It's a technique. It says when you focus your efforts, you can reduce the power drain of every action that you take. Again, this only takes effect when equipped. Power usage minus 9%. Trooper ability, Death from Above. Technique. It says while you are suspended in the air, any attacks using weapons will have a damage bonus. Technique only takes effect again when equipped. Damage while suspended 40%. Spice Precinct. What is it? It is when you gain special powers by spice consumption by crafting spice items like beer or coffee. This can also be looted off NPCs, or by inhaling spice in a spice field if you do not wear a spice mask for protection. The bar in the middle of the screen will rise when exposed or consumed. At the start of the game, you'll have 2 abilities, and then when you play the story, you unlock another ability at the same time you unlock the Spice Precinct. It's very powerful. It reduces cooldowns on abilities, you deal more damage for ranged and melee attacks, immune to poison, you trigger your passive skills you invested in the skill tree that we just went through some of them, and these are only active when in this mode. Again, another example of this is Shield Overcharge, where you can see vulnerabilities in their shield and hit those areas to take down the shields faster. Some other advantages are Bendo Dodge, where it appears as if a blade attacks pass through you. Your health will also regenerate at an accelerated rate. It will also highlight enemies, but you still need to see them first. You can see their health, weapons, the type of NPC you are facing, and their ammunition, as it shows when you might have a window to attack, as you can see when they might be about to reload. There is a withdrawal phase, where you can't consume spice and have to wait for the red bar to go down in the middle of the screen. You will have to consume more spice as your tolerance goes up. This can go up to quite a high level where you need to consume a lot of it. Sometimes, when in withdrawal from spice, you see these pink elements showing up on the screen now and again, and after a while, you might start seeing things that aren't there if you trigger the spice Prescient too often. You can see when another player goes into this mode as their eyes glow purple, but even when they are in this mode, they can't see your stamina bar, which is very crucial when in combat, as this lets you dodge and deal special attacks if you still have stamina. Grouping and guilds. Group play. This is a temporary social structure of up to 4 people. It comes with benefits like seeing their status on the HUD and seeing them as markers on the map. It's also easier to chat with them. You won't do damage to your friends with normal darts, only area effect, abilities, and the flamethrower will do damage. Won't do full damage, but you still need to be careful when done in AoE. You do need to remember that this is the deep desert and you can exit the grouping system at any point and betray your friends. Guilds. These are the long-term social structures. There are hierarchies. You have leader, co-leader, officer, and member. You also have a chat feature like grouping. Guild screen shows the name, faction, short description, how many players are in the guild, player names, rank, faction, and status, whereabouts they are, and if they are online. The damage in guilds is confusing, as someone asked the question, can you attack players of the same faction? I'm assuming he meant guild, but maybe he did mean faction, and the developer's response was, yes you can. In a group, you won't do damage much to your friends in your group, but the people in your guild who may be attached to a faction, you can damage them when you're in a PvP area. To me, this is confusing, as it sounds like you're doing more damage to your guild members than in the small 4-person grouping system, which to me that doesn't make much sense at all, but maybe I just might not be understanding what they mean. In an earlier section, they said friendly fire will still be valid for groups, but they're changing how it works for guilds. Prior to the change, both guild mates and group mates were considered allies for the purpose of not taking damage. Group and guild play apparently can be across servers. Proximity chat is also a feature, but it is turned off by default. Touching on houses and relating this to guilds, when you get to a certain point, you can pledge your guild alliance to a certain house/faction, and if that is different to someone's personal faction, they will get booted from the guild, so you can't mix factions. So no mixing Atreides and Harkonnen in the same faction is not allowed. You can betray your faction/change your faction, but you can only do this once, as they don't like a traitor. Also, if you aren't a traitor, subscribe now, as 88.8% of you aren't subscribed, and that's some Harkonnen behavior. Anyway, permissions. In every guild, you are going to want to control who can access certain things in your base. These are the different options you have: owner, co-owner, associate, guild, and public. You can then add people to the list if they need to be co-owner or associate. You can do this for doors inside your base, vehicles, and chests. In regards to the permissions for your sub-thief console, which is used to put the base down, only the owner can remove it, so be careful who you give ownership to. Friends and servers. Anyone on your Steam friends list will appear on this page, so you can easily add them to guilds. You don't have to start on the same server as your friend. If you want to join a friend, you can click join friend and it will teleport you to the nearest trade post to that friend on their server, so it's not exploitable. You can do everything on that map with them, but claim land. You can build on their base and be given ownership of their base, so you can build all the parts, but you don't own the land claim. They have done this to control how many builds are on that map. You can do story and contracts with friends, and this will also carry back to your home world. It was also said that in a world, there are many sietches. You get to obviously pick which world you go into, and you get to pick which sietch you start on. You do need to make sure you're on the same world so you can still visit them. This was said in the question section, so I assume to join a friend, you do have to be in the same world at least. The servers that will be available at launch will be Asia, South America, West Coast US, Central US, East Coast US, Europe, and Australia. They mentioned the Australia one is actually on the East Coast, as it's closer to Sydney, so not exactly where it is shown on the map. If more than 40 people do try and play at the same time, they will be put into a queue to join that map. Echo Labs. The Echo Labs in Haga Basin are all PvE from what was shown on screen. This means that players can't attack you. It also looks like there are boss fights at the end, unless this is just unique to the one that they showed on the stream. Also, loot is unique to each player, so it's fair for everyone. They can each get their own loot. The Echo Labs in the Deep Desert are PvP, which means anyone can enter the Echo Labs when completing it, whether that is a friend or foe, and can attack you. It also looks like there are waves of enemies instead of a boss fight, and any loot that is found is not on an individual basis, so you will have to trust your friends and share the loot equally if you do want to be fair. From what was shown in the livestream, there are Holtzman shield doors on all Echo Labs, which is specifically configured to allow players in, but not let them out unless all the enemies are cleared. So beware about going inside the Echo Labs unprepared, as you won't be able to get out when you get to a certain point. This will be clear with a green door, and when you go for it, it does turn red. You can also find water containers inside the Echo Labs to regain some hydration when working through these, but it is recommended to bring water along just in case. Along the way, you can find little audio tapes which gives you an insight into the lore surrounding the Echo Lab and potentially the boss you will face as well. Echo Labs have tiers, which is the difficulty setting. They said that the PvE one that they did was steel tier, but in the iron tier area, so it was much harder than usual. This could mean we have something like bronze for the easiest, iron, then steel, and then titanium for the hardest, but that is purely speculation. Only iron tier and steel tier are confirmed. NPCs and Echo Labs. It is said the best enemies will use cover, dash, parry, and abilities more. They will also do damage much faster. They will also retreat occasionally to regain health. When seeing these enemies in the stream, it did seem like they were constantly spamming abilities, so you basically couldn't do anything, which, in my opinion, they should just be better at timing their shots with your reloading, or parrying more than spamming abilities, but hopefully this is reworked a bit. They did say they might get NPCs to be smarter when they reload, when against a player with a shield, but that's a future team conversation. You can use poison to force NPCs to move, as they won't stay in the poison. If a player does get damaged by poison, it can be removed by applying a health kit. When looting enemies, you can select all for quick looting, or select each item individually. Let's talk about the new weapons we heard about. A drill shot. This will fire burrow darts, which when they hit a shield, they will burrow through, and if you don't dash to counter it, this means you will take damage if you don't act. On the melee side, we have swords, rapiers, kinjal, and the Chris knife. Swords can do damage in an area, like a swing, but it's kind of slow compared to the kinjal, which is very fast but only focuses on one enemy at a time. With a shield, you are vulnerable, of course, to the slow blade attack, which is why you might choose to use a knife against shielded enemies. You do have to trigger the slow blade attack because you need to hold the mouse button to activate it, so it won't automatically trigger when attacking the enemy. They also said you can craft ammo quickly from harvesting scrap metal piles, so you shouldn't run out too quickly either. It was also said if you crouch, your character does not generate audio movement events, so if you can predict which way the enemy moves, you can get much closer to them before attacking. Armor. Not much was mentioned here, but you can toggle your helmet on and off. This works with all armor, so you can still see your character's face, but still be protected at the same time. It was said that light armor is better for dashing, dodging, and protecting against melee attacks. In your inventory, you have some other slots next to your armor. This is where you can place a battery pack, which fuels two things that also go in these slots: a Holtzman shield for protection, and the Holtzman suspender belts. There are different suspender belts which use different amounts of energy. The one shown here allows them to float, so it's more energy efficient than the ones that can move you vertically. You can lose your shield if you use the suspensor belt too long, as both of these are taken from the same energy pool in the bottom left of the screen. It will regenerate though. Buff/debuffs. If you are low on hydration, you will have fewer dashes. Your stamina basically gets limited. Also, your health is ticking down, but you do get a bonus to your stamina if your hydration level is above a certain threshold. This means you will slowly regain your maximum lost health. Players can also consume water from the Muad'Dibs, aka the Desert Mouse, and of course NPCs. Compared to the closed beta, for anyone who has played that, a lot more things will cost stamina. A big stamina rework is coming. This means it won't always regenerate when doing certain abilities, and it won't regenerate when you sprint either. A short thing that was said in regards to mining, one of the devs was asked what are they enjoying at the moment, and they said setting up my base production facilities and the related mining activities that come from that, especially the vehicle mining. One, that means vehicle mining is confirmed, which is pretty cool, and two, potentially some sort of base production. But this could just be referring to the normal crafters inside a base and setting those up instead. And finally, we have been told there is a beta weekend coming up. No date yet, but more information will come out next month, so you can be sure it won't be happening in April. We will be able to stream and record it, so please stay tuned as I'll be making lots of content around that. A massive thank you to all the support recently. It has been insane. If you aren't subscribed now, subscribe so you can be a part of the first 1,000 subs, because that means basically nothing, but I appreciate you anyway. So thanks so much for watching, and peace.